change your heart, change your life, change the planet. A major factor in me wanting to or being compelled to write about compassion or make videos about this topic is that I see a lot of people who are really well-intentioned and empathetic doing more harm than good. So a big part of what I'm up to now is trying to define compassion in such a way that it's really clearly distinguished from empathy or having good intentions, because as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So my definition of compassion starts, I guess, where the Buddhist definition may start, especially the Tibetan Buddhist definition, that it begins with empathy. It begins with an acknowledgement of suffering and a feeling of suffering. To feel into, that's what empathy means. But then it shifts to a different place, philosophically, procedurally, and even neurologically. And what I mean by that is that someone that's practicing Tonglen meditation or compassion meditation starts with the feeling, and then they shift into a place of loving kindness where they wish that the suffering would alleviate. So they feel it, and then they go into a place where they can have a space for it, a loving space for the suffering and the person in the suffering. But they themselves stop suffering. And if you look at a brain scan, you'll see that they're actually shifting into a different part or different network in the brain when they do this. So I think that's a good place to start. But I want to go further with my definition, first of all, because I don't want it to be linked to any particular religious practice. I want it to be something that's available and accessible to everyone. So compassion it's really about allowing something to exist. And that's hard. That's really, really hard. And this is where people get stuck. Because if you are empathetic or highly sensitive, as I am, when you see discomfort in another, or you imagine discomfort in another, and we'll call that perceive, because perception is not about reality. Perception is about what narrative you construct out of the sensory data that you take in. So I see some facial expressions, I see a body in a particular position, and then my brain creates a story about that, and I call it perception. I perceive that you are suffering. And by the way, that's perfectly natural if you are empathetic. If you lack empathy, they call this lacking theory of mind. You don't really understand that other people have minds and have thoughts and have narratives and have experiences. You're just focused on your own. So the people that model other people's minds to a large degree, the shy, the sensitive, the empathetic, they, and I include myself in this group, have a very, very rich imagination or simulation of what other people are experiencing. I see this with my family all the time, telling me what our cats are thinking and doing and feeling and believing. And it's like, wow, it's pretty elaborate. And you'll see my family acting with good intentions to try to ease the suffering of one of our cats when the cat may not be suffering at all. In fact, I observe the same thing they're observing, and I come away with a very different description of what's going on in that situation. So empathy is about taking in some sensory data, but then running it through the simulated world that you have inside of your head. And that world is going to be largely informed by your own experiences and your brain, your genetics. So when people run these simulations, they don't realize that they're doing this, and they're not doing it consciously. It just happens. They don't realize that the program that they're running this data through is totally biased towards their experience. So then when they come up with the answer of what to do, what is the good intention here, it's going to be based on what they want. It's going to be based on what has maybe worked for them in the past. So they'll do something that they think is in the best interest of the other person, but they don't even know anything about the other person, for the most part. What they know is, well, in my model, this would be good for me. So it's not really empathy at all. And when you look at it this way, it's quite selfish. But again, no fault of any individual person. This is just natural. Especially the more sensitive or shy or empathetic you are, the more likely this is going to happen in a very big way. Shy people are always modeling what other people think of them. And the reality is, other people aren't thinking of them. Because most people don't think about shy people. It's like, yeah, whatever, you're not interesting. I'm not thinking about you. I'm thinking about the person in the room who is interesting and loud and getting all the attention. And that's not you. So this is something I've had to come to terms with as an extremely shy person. So, good intentions are really about what would I like, what would make me feel better in this situation. But I don't even know what the problem is yet. I don't even know if there really is suffering. I don't know how long it's been going on, if there is suffering. Is it acute? Is it chronic? Is it just a bump in the road and in 5 seconds it's going to be gone? And I saw the facial expressions and I'm now perceiving that this is something that's been going on for a long time. Like, how much data am I using to make this analysis? Probably not much. Compassion is about realizing that I'm perceiving something. And when I model it, it feels like pain, it feels like suffering. But I have to acknowledge that that's just my model. I don't know if that's the case for you yet. So, we have to allow you to be in that situation before I try to fix it, before I try to give you any advice, before I try to comfort you, before I do anything based on my simulation. Let's allow you to be there. Let's allow me to be in your presence without trying to fix you, because maybe it's too uncomfortable for me. I can't be around you, so I want to fix you just so that I feel better. That's often the case. So instead, let's get curious. What's going on? What's happening for you right now? What is this experience like? It looks to me like something might be going on, so what's up? And then if somebody describes to you that there is some suffering there, okay, great. Let me understand. Help me to understand this a little more. And then maybe I have some more data to plug into my model. And when I do so, it's like, ooh, I'm putting myself in their shoes because they described their shoes to me. Yeah, wow, okay. What do you want to do? And this is the other step in compassion. Rather than having a good intention of, I'm going to fix this, well, let me find out what the other person wants. What do you want to do? Do you want to shift something? Do you want to take a step? Do you want sympathy? Do you want to be acknowledged? Like, what do you want right now? What do you feel is the best choice for you? If you want to take a step, if you want this to go away, I'm right here. I'll help. If you want to stay there and you simply want some acknowledgement of another human being, you want some company for your misery, because misery does love company most of the time. And again, this is why we have to ask, because when you try to fix someone, they may not want to be fixed. Maybe they just want some company there. Maybe they just want to bitch and they want you to agree with their bitching. Okay, let me find out if that's what you want. And if that is the case, maybe I'll do that with you for a little while. I'm not going to stay there for long. But maybe I'll give you a little bit of that, because that's what you asked for. But then I'll ask again, like, how long do you want to stay here? Do you want this to dominate your day, your week, your month, your life? If the answer is no, well, are you interested in maybe taking a step or maybe looking to see what steps might be available? If so, again, I'm here. So back to the distinction between compassion, empathy, and good intentions. Good intentions are often ill-informed, whereas compassion is about getting as much information as you can. And if you're trying to make the situation go away, if you're trying to make the feelings go away, you can't learn from them. So maybe this is a learning moment, and compassion allows for that. Maybe it's a learning moment for both of you in this situation. But if I quickly try to shut you up and fix you and say, stop it, No more negative talk. Don't want to hear it. You need to do this. Okay, well, where's the learning? Like the person's got this stuff and they're not consciously creating it and you just shut them up. What if there's learning that needs to take place there and I'm not allowing that? So the process of compassion, and I say the process, it's really ongoing. It's not simply I feel something and I'm going to fix it. I feel something and I'm going to react. Compassion is I feel something, let's find out if what I'm feeling is accurate, and then let's explore that space and see if I can assist you in the midst of that space. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. But until I ask, until I allow it to be there, I'm just bullying you, I'm dominating you. So this is the tough part about compassion. It's not a simple solution, it's not a quick solution, but holy cow, is it a lot more effective if you're willing to actually allow discomfort to exist. And the word to describe that is called patience. Patience means to be with your suffering. Pati for suffering in Greek or Latin. So to be patient. That's what compassion is all about.